listening to Bears Beyond the Gate, a Bristol Bears podcast made by fans for fans, with three friends who love the club, the game and all things Bears. Well, boys, we're normally at the Bristol Beer Factory tap room having a cheeky beer with our rugby banter, but because it was a Sunday kickoff and they couldn't guarantee that they'd be closing at 7, we've had to find alternative accommodation. So Lee, you're a man of words. Do you want to explain to listeners where exactly we are at the moment?
Well, to be fair, we should say thank you very much to Tom Tainton for actually giving us the media room at Ashton Gate. And we're actually sat here, and it's really weird, isn't it? Because we're looking at empty seats.
There are no press.
We're actually sat here in a press conference room, and almost it feels like, we're kind of waiting for a new signing to pop in, doesn't it?
And as you say that, I'm currently taking a photograph of it that we could put out on our socials to prove to people that we are where Pat sits when he has his press conference. And here we go, Miles, give us a smile. Hey.
However, can I just add to listeners that we have not forgotten our roots, and in fact we are still drinking a can of Bristol Beer Factory Vienna Flight. So, we love it, absolutely love it.
Which we should say, I mean, that is one of my personal favourites, and Lewis has poured out a blinder with that one.
I'm not sure Lewis is the head brewer.
No, I know. No. Lewis is my go-to.
But can we just say, before we get on to the game, because we're kind of holding it back, because as people will know, by the time they listen to this pod, it was an exciting afternoon. But we should just say big shout out to Lewis, our production manager, rider manager, all-round motivator. Miles and me went for a Bristol Beer Factory brewery tour yesterday at 2 o'clock. I must admit, I drove into Ashton Vale Trading Estate and I did wonder where the hell I was going. It was just I went past the ETM depot.
I didn't want to go any further than that.
But anyway, he was absolutely brilliant. And I couldn't recommend it highly enough that if you fancy doing something on a Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock, or buying a loved one a present, go down and do the Bristol Beer Factory brewery tour with Lewis. He's brilliant.
And you will have to book that in advance, though, because they are pretty busy, aren't they?
But boys, we're not here to talk about that. We need to get our plug in for the Bristol Beer Factory, obviously, because we love them and they're very good to us. But we're here because we have just sat through the first Premiership game of the season, Ashton Gate, Sunday afternoon kickoff, on account probably of the Women's World Cup final. And well, boys, it was a victory. And actually, as I said to someone as I was leaving, it was a palindromic victory because it was 42-24. For those people that don't know what that means, it's kind of a symmetrical 4-2-2-4, a symmetrical thing.
An equidistant victory.
Yeah, symmetry, equidistant. But I think we're clearly champing at the bit, Miles. I can tell you are champing at the bit of talking about this game. But before we do, I think we need to talk a little bit about the kind of build-up before the game, because I think this is something that we suspected based on conversation that we had with Tom Tainton a couple of pods ago. If you haven't listened to it, it's worth a listen. That the club are kind of ramping up the fan experience. And there was a massive innovation today. And I think, Miles, you were there. So I think you should talk the listeners through it.
Well, we both were. I mean, if fans weren't down there early enough at about 2:10 this afternoon, they would not have experienced the Bears run. Is that what they would like to call it?
I think they wouldn't run. They kind of ambled into the players' entrance.
Anyway, so in Big Day Out in Cardiff last year, for those who were lucky enough to go, we experienced players walking down to the Principality, cheering fans, glorious sunshine, and can I just say that was replicated this afternoon. So the players arrived on a Bristol Bears players bus. A little sort of walkway was created with fans cheering at the side, and all the players got off the bus to clapping, cheering.
And a band playing.
And a band playing this afternoon. And can I just say that for younger players, older players, medium-aged players, I think it was just a fantastic pat on the back for the club, engagement with the club and the players and the fans. And I thought we loved it, and I hope that the players loved actually being just cheered before they even got in the actual Ashton Gate itself.
I mean, I should say the band was on stilts as well.
Yeah,
so, I mean, that I always think people on stilts doing stuff is seriously impressive. But apparently what had happened is that it's a new thing that the players had all had to park up at the HPC, and then the coach went up to pick them up from the HPC, and then brought them down in the coach and replicated the walkthrough. And yeah, I mean, I think they enjoyed it. We took a few. I might do an Instagram reel on it, Miles.
I think I got the impression from a few listeners that other clubs do that. Players walk in from the bus. So I mean, I think it was just great. So, bring it on, all the home games.
That sort of then set the atmosphere for the rest of the build up. And I mean, we had to go in a bit early, didn't we, Lee? On account of we had to go up the lift to the 4th floor.
We did, but we actually did get the right lift this time, which was brilliant. But we went up to talk to our good friend of the pod, Damien Derrick, didn't we? And he was.
It was great. We had
in good form.
We had a little chat.
His head as well,
little chat on the media, like a bit of pre-match on Radio Bristol. I think it was being broadcast live this afternoon, the game, and he was commentating on it. So it's always exciting to do that. So anyway, we then got back and we got to our seats relatively early. Actually, I thought for a change, we were up there, and I think the first thing I'd say that we noticed was that when they announced the Bristol team, They've obviously jazzed up the kind of announcing the lineup, because there was very much a kind of looking down, and then when the name was flashed up on the screen, the player then looked up, and it was all quite, I don't know, it was quite Hollywood.
In surprise.
Yeah, but well, the forwards didn't do it. The forwards just had they were just juggling the ball
balls
between themselves. Yeah. But there was a lot of. I mean, Reece Zammit definitely did the biggest sort of looking down and then looking up, and there was a kind of obviously big cheer when it went, but I quite like that. I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, I thought it was a new little media angle that the Bristol Bears team have got into, and I thought it was quite enjoyable, actually.
And then after Dunny had told us last week, for those of you that didn't listen to last week's episode, why didn't you? But if you didn't, we had James Dunn on, and he said, we'd asked him about the kind of fireworks and things before the game, and he says that he always forgets as he's running out that they then fire these fireworks off, and it always makes him jump a little bit.
Well,
but actually,
we could talk about pyrotechnics a little bit today.
I thought we'd put that to bed. Well, this is what I'm about to say, Miles, is that it wasn't fireworks. It was smoke. And I mean, I'm a geography teacher, and I've got to tell you that when you've got a slightly anticyclonic conditions,
you couldn't even see.
And you put smoke in the air, it takes a while for it to go away. So the first minute, we literally couldn't see anything, could we?
No, Pete had his compass out, and he was still none the wiser, I think.
But I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought that those kind of little things that the club have done today.
We are mocking it a little bit too much. I think we actually really enjoyed it, didn't we?
And they were noticeable as well, because they're little things that they've done, but. It's important. I thought personally the kind of spectator value was great.
I thought so. I think it upped the ante today. Yes. The weather helps, but I think we do have to give kudos that the ante had been upped. So boys, the game started. We had big expectations with slight trepidations. We looked at the weather. We thought, well, Bears are clearly going to run this today. We're going to do the Bears way. And we thought that probably Leicester wouldn't do that. They would probably, kick the ball and go for territory and kind of force us into mistakes. So in some ways, it was a bit of a game of two halves, in the sense that 17-all at half time, and then obviously we pulled away in the second half and won it. Lee, what's your general thoughts about the game? How are you feeling? What are your emotions? Are any caveats?
Well, obviously, absolutely over the moon, the fact that we've won the game. Because, we all know the importance of starting the season well. When we spoke to Elliot Butlin of the Rolling Maul podcast, Leicester Tigers podcast last week, didn't we, Pete? And he was saying that Leicester are going to kind of run the ball and give us a game. I actually was really looking forward to that, and to be fair, they did push us in a lot, especially the first kind of 50, 60 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to probably dissect it a little bit more, aren't we? In terms, but ultimately, really pleased to win the game and to win it with a little bit of scope as well, which I'm really pleased with.
Well, should we just talk about the first half first? So, Miles, just give us your general overview of that first half. It was 17-all at half time, but that's not really the story, is it?
Not particularly, no. I mean, it did start off well. We started off with high hopes, I guess, in the first half, all Bristol fans. But, we didn't, Leicester have got a brand new coach. We suggested last week, Jeff Parlin, who was pretty much a forwards man. But actually, their pack were pretty solid, but their backs were running it around. We do know that give the ball to Adam Radwan and Hassel Collins, and they are just phenomenally quick players. And that's what happened in the first half. They ran into space, whether our defence was just not quite awake. First game, we get that a little bit ring rusty. But they seem to be running rings round us. Sorry,
runging rings or ringing runs.
Had a few beers. Running rings round us, and Radwan looked like classic Radwan. He was just unplayable and just scored a few extra points.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing. His two tries.
It was. I was disappointed that they were just. Whether you feel like poor defence, Radwan being quality, either way, it was going into that sort of half time thinking this is probably a little bit tighter a game than I would have liked.
I think he scored both his, if I'm right, and obviously listeners will have to forgive us because we haven't actually seen the highlights, but my memory is that he scored both his tries in the corner on the blind side, off a scrum, kind of one-on-one, and that's you just sort of, once it can happen, twice, maybe something didn't quite work there. And I think one of the scrums kind of wheeled one way. Tiger's scrum was actually pretty dominant, wasn't it? Most of the game. So give some credit for it. It felt like they wheeled the back row away from it. So when they broke blind, it was literally only Harry Randall and Gabs to defend. So yeah, it was a bit disappointing. I don't know about you, Lee. I sort of felt we felt it, although we got back into the game, it felt a bit loose the first half.
It did feel a bit loose, but I think we're kind of dodging around the subject a little bit. There is skirting around the subject. There is a massive area we need to talk about, and that's injuries.
Yeah,
already.
I know, and we already discussed it. We were on Radio Bristol earlier, me and you, Pete, saying about we've got a smaller squad in the Premiership. The areas you don't want injuries in any areas, but we had Adge come off, and that looked pretty bad.
It did.
I heard through the grapevine Achilles, right? And that's bad.
That's just as bad. Rands had obviously come off, and
Gabs
and
Gabs in the second half.
Gabs clutching his hammer.
And they are with a small squad. They are so important to us. And look, I don't want to put a dampener on the game because it was a brilliant performance, and we really did play well today. But I just worry, we can't have too many more injuries, especially if these are long term.
You could make an argument it didn't affect us too much today because Kieran Marmion came on, did a great job from Harry. Tom Jordan was forced to move to 10, and then I think we all saw what an unbelievably good 10 he is.
Oh my goodness!
And
what a brilliant fullback he was prior.
Exactly. He only had about 7 minutes, but he was pretty good then. And then when Gabs went off, I was actually thinking, oh, hang on, he's going to come on. And then a big Revovo comes on. And of course,
absolutely.
I'd forgotten he'd been ripping it up against Samoa for Fiji. And of course, in a way, that was fine. It was actually, we were kind of almost like stronger in the second half. The injuries didn't affect us. But of course, when you look at the big picture, we now cannot afford Marmion, Jordan or Calavetti to get injured at all. So this is going to be this. I imagine that the rehab people, the medical people are going to have to kind of really work on kind of get people fit again as quick as possible under the basis that these replacements who were brilliant could well get injured as well. So already we have a bit of a headache.
But one thing we should say actually about, we were talking about academy players or youngsters stepping up. Like, how good was it Carrington?
Carrington, student.
Oh my goodness!
Student. He'd only got in from the Lizard Lounge at 4 a.m.
Exactly.
Lizard Lounge.
Oh no, that's shut
still
now.
Exists.
Sorry, No, I mean, he's only just moved into halls. They had the big, on the Downs, the big Freshers Week thing. And I mean, joking aside, we know full well that there are gems, there are rough diamonds that can be polished quick to be found in the Buck system. And obviously, 100 cap Fitz Harding, which we should also have doffed off.
Yes.
But we will doff it again.
We'll come to that.
We'll come to that.
Famously is somebody who's come from Bucks. And we had a couple a few years ago, didn't we? We had Ryan Shambalas or Ryan, I can't remember, 2 props, wasn't it? And they didn't really come through.
Played up at Clifton.
And Fred Pearce was another one. He didn't quite make the grade. But yeah, I mean, Josh Carrington.
Well, we've got no other choice, have we? We are very quickly in game one running out of first-team players. So you're absolutely right. The worry is that in a small squad that we have, we've lost 3 of our key players in game one. And, God forbid that their injuries are long-term, but it's not looking great. And I think going into we'll chat about this later, going into a short season and a tough game next weekend, we are going to need to pull our socks up and pull into those sort of academy players.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about this season. We've got a small squad, and at some point, the younger players are going to have to step up.
Yeah,
I guess we probably all didn't expect it to be quite so early in the season.
No.
But ultimately, if these guys are going to get experience, they need to be on the pitch.
Yeah,
and
they do.
And to be fair, Carrington looked class.
He did.
He looked like he actually had been on that field, performing for years. So
do you know what? There was a passage of play in that first half where we were kind of running it, and we made half a break, and he then grubbered it through.
Yeah.
And pinned them right back in their territory. And as Mark, who sits in front of me, said, it was great decision making under pressure. And actually, we've been banging on about that last season a few times, that a cheeky little grubber, when there's nothing on, rather than throw it out the back or rather than go for the big pass in dangerous areas, because the 10-metre line in their half is a dangerous area. If you muck it up and they get transition, suddenly you could be back in your 22. So it was a little grubber that went straight in the corner, and I thought that is a sign of class.
Yeah. And also it just gives you a little bit more confidence as a supporter. You're looking at that and you're thinking, that's a young kid doing that.
But, I mean, to be honest, if he's a student, you'd assume he's relatively intelligent. So rugby intelligence is...
Depends
maybe
what
that's
studying, mate.
Well, he could be doing media studies, couldn't he? Podcasting studies. Actually, you know what? I'm joking. I mean, I know it's very, very poor to joke about student of the Bucks, but I mean, I presume he's graduated now, and he must be. I don't know. I need to look into Josh Carrington, what he did study. To me, based on that grubber only, I'd say that he's got a master's in ancient history. Very, very cerebral.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one of the listeners can actually tell us that.
Yeah. Or maybe Josh, tell us yourself.
Spatial awareness, sublime.
Yeah. So anyway. First half, 17-all, I think we all agreed we were probably pretty lucky to be there. I think we'd all hoped for a fast start, get ahead of them. They did exactly the right thing. They forced errors off us. They put us under pressure. There was a few passes out the back that didn't get a hand. And then, when it came down to a couple of one-on-ones, we looked a little bit dodgy. So at half-time, I was a bit... I don't know.
Relieved?
I was relieved we were 17-all, but I thought we're going to have to tighten up. And there was a couple of other things in the first half. There was a couple of times in front of us where we got down and Lewis Rees-Zammit was ready to get the ball.
Yeah.
And they just didn't give it to him. I was like, just give it to him. He's massively fast. And obviously that in the end it happened. But yeah, I don't know.
That's a work in progress.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt kind of excited. It was so good to be back, and it was good to see the Bears play proper rugby. And I think, neutrals would have thought that's a great first half.
I'll tell you a couple of things that we did do. A couple of box kicks.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Freddie Stewart,
he doesn't miss kicking.
There's no point.
Catching,
there's no point in kicking the ball up in the air for him. And I actually felt after that first half, we addressed that in the second half. We were so much better. Let's talk about the second half, because that was so much more positive.
Yeah, and a few disappointments in the first half. I'll just add to that. It's just, I get the Bears' way. You know, there's this talk of the amazing amount of passes we do in training session, and you expect the man to be on his shoulder. But the ring rustiness, have we mentioned that?
I think you have.
The ring rustiness.
The rung ristiness, I think you called it.
Ring rustiness.
Actually, that's something else, but anyway.
Was quite apparent, and I think on this particular occasion, it will come. It will come with game after game after game. There was just not the man on the shoulder, and that was quite apparent this afternoon, wasn't it? There were passes back that were just painfully out of time.
Do you know what? I think you're being a bit harsh. I mean, it's those little kind of no-look passes. The forwards normally do them. You go to first receiver, and rather than pop it, they look.
There's no harshness about it. I'm gonna butt in there.
But it was close.
Yeah, it was painfully off. I think painfully off kilter this afternoon.
Okay.
And I fully appreciate this is our first game, and that certainly needs tightening up. But today, the amount of back passes and no-look passes that didn't hit their man,
but
inevitably, I get you. We'll need tightening up in tougher games.
Yeah, sorry, P. I'm going to agree with Miles on that. I felt that. It was a
little bit excruciating at times.
You're actually both right. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm glad that we're trying them.
Yeah.
Because if anyone had watched like Sale, they do that a couple of times, and then George Ford kicks a massive up and under.
I agree.
And I know it's frustrating, but I think if we were scared of doing it and never did it and worried about it, we'd be poor. But you're absolutely right.
I know.
It didn't come off in the first half.
It is the Bristol 100%. DNA, and then the second half, I agree. Yeah. You know, things got a little bit tighter, which they should in tight games, and things improved.
Do you think Pat? You asked this to Dunny last week, didn't you, about half-time Pat? Do you think Pat would have been? I mean, Dunny seemed to think that if things haven't gone right, he's quite calm. I don't know. What do you think the half-time chat was, Lee?
I think Pat would have been saying, "Keep going, keep going the way you're going.
Right.
We will find the openings. We will." Like we weren't quite on point in the first half.
Yeah,
but keep going and
don't panic.
Don't panic. And ultimately, that's what happened in the second half.
A bit like we didn't panic because we wanted to get a drink at half time, and rather than queue in the Dolman queues, what we did was went round to the south stand, out through the doors where the smokers go, straight to Lewis. Another double pinter, back in again. Didn't panic, just stayed in system, didn't we? And we didn't queue for ages or miss the beginning of the second half.
It's the Bears Beyond the Gate system, isn't it?
It's the Bears Beyond the Gate way.
The system works.
In fact, that's something, the Bears Beyond the Gate way, this mystical system that we have at home games, that everyone's got to be in the right place at the right time, haven't they?
Yeah.
Well, usually you cock it up because you're chatting.
Chatting. Well, that's what happened. I didn't get back in time for the second half because I was chatting to someone that I knew. And then someone else I chatted to. I should say shout out to Big Al, big friend of mine. Chatted to him on the way back. Shout out to Henry, one of Miles's friends, who a doctor,
of course.
Who also I know.
Wait, Miles has got a friend.
Yeah, Miles. Well, no. Apparently, he said Miles hangs around him. Miles tried to be friends with him by giving him his ticket once.
He's a surgeon.
Tried to buy friends. Yeah, and I did have a lot of social chatting on the way back, and that was where I went out of system because I'd done the right thing to get the beers, and then I went out of system and I was late. And I missed that first penalty. Well, and that takes us on nicely to the second half, Miles, doesn't it?
There's a lot of learning, Pete.
Yeah. Anything you can remember from the second half?
Not particularly. No. I'm glad you got some notes.
I tell you what, do you know what I remember? Unusually for us, we had a very early penalty, didn't we, and kicked the points.
Okay, I remember the first one, and this is terrible for me, right? Because, I always forget a lot of things. The referees and the linos, they changed their shirts, didn't they?
No. Did they?
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Because we were joking about the fact that we couldn't really see the ref.
They were the same colour as Leicester.
We were joking about the fact that when the water people came on, he should have taken one of the high visibility jackets and put that on, and that would have been better. So I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
because I was out of system. That's why.
Do you think there's some subliminal influence that we're having on refs and all sorts of people?
I mean, we talk to Tom Tatum, we talk about clarity. Suddenly there's clarity at the club. We talk about the fact that we can't see the refs. Suddenly we can see the refs. I mean, I wonder.
I know, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Anyway, people are starting to say, right, stop it now.
Move on.
So second half, you boys, I've actually got the notes. I mean, the thing about the second half, I think we were under the cosh a few times, but our defence was absolutely immense, especially in our 22. And there was a few times where the score was pretty close. I mean, there was a point where it was, I think on 64 minutes it was 32-24. 59 minutes it was only 27-24. So, we did it. I've written down here. We had great maul defence from Dunny off the line out, but then again Bailey scored under the sticks. Yeah. So we got to 60 minutes with 20 minutes to go. What is definitely known as the final quarter, Miles. Is definitely the final quarter. We were 20-24. We're all getting a bit worried because we can hear something, but actually, to be honest, I don't think that it will pick that up, so we're all right. But then again, we then went again, and then that was when Carrington scored, and I think from that moment on, we were 32-24 after 64. We were under the pump for a while on the 22. Bats won a turnover penalty. Then Thax came on. Fitz went off for an HIA. Thax came on. And as I said to the guy, I mean, he had to go open side flanker. Yeah, and he looks like an open side flanker. About half the size of one, though, so that was the trouble.
Thax could play anywhere.
Yeah.
He had a scum cap. He had a scum cap on.
But he was his first job was like defending a 5 metre scrum, and he did really well,
and it worked.
And we held it up, but then we gave another penalty. Then they went to the corner, but then we had a massive D on the line. And I think the second half was we scored a few tries, but actually it was more about the nuts and bolts. The thing you like, Lee,
defense,
nuts and bolts.
Well, the first thing I want to say is. First of all, Dunny's shoulder. Dunny played.
What shoulder?
That for me was Dunny's best performance in a Bristol Bears shirt. Yeah. I loved it because he was not only was he smashing people, but he was offloading.
He did at least three, and he said he wasn't going to do one until the new year.
Yeah, and the first one was in the first few minutes, and. I just want to big up Dunny because I thought he was brilliant today.
I mean, him and Bats are brilliant. The engine room at the side. Just absolute quality this afternoon.
I give it to you. Is there a better Premiership second row partnership than Joe Batley and James Dunn?
No.
I don't think
Not
there
in
is.
my opinion.
No. The skill that they bring, the cheekiness, the delight that they give players... No, I don't think there is.
Do you know what I love about them both? Is that they can both smash, but they can both offload and they can play rugby as well.
Yeah. Although Dunny said that he did tell us that his main job was just to smash. But I think he after that first half against Bath in the semi-final...
He ripped his headband on after about 20 minutes. He was so cross with the constriction of his head.
It was like Rambo, wasn't he?
So, I mean, and that takes us on. I think the second half, actually, I felt much more comfortable that after sort of 60 minutes, it was a little bit in the balance, but I think we looked there. They took their two front rows off. So Nicky Smith, Joe Hayes, those are quality operators, and they did give us a torrid time. And, why wouldn't they? They're really good. But when their bench came on, they didn't really make as much impact at our bench. Ironically, we're talking about a small squad, but I think that our bench... made a bigger impact when they came on.
Yeah, agreed.
And Chawatama came on. We haven't seen him for a while, so he got some game time. Graham Slaw, didn't see him last year. He got some game time. So, it's kind of like ups and downs, wasn't it? There were some positives, and there was, the injuries are the serious downsides. But
and we should say as well, we were we're a little bit worried about the front row, but the front row actually stood up quite well today. Yeah. The scrum was good,
and they'll get better.
And absolutely,
pretty good this afternoon.
And I mean,
lots of reason to be positive.
George Klosker is, he would have learned a lot today, and he did everything he could.
Yeah, he's got a new scrum cap.
He has.
We should mention that.
Did he have yellow boots on though?
Oh,
I felt as though there was.
He had a bit of fluorescent scrum cap.
An issue with fluorescence is a worry in the front row, but I could be wrong. But I have to look at it on the highlights.
No. What colour was the scrum cap, Pete?
I don't know.
It's like dark grey with a bit of yellow fluorescence. But I think we're going to big up Klosker this afternoon. He's absolutely.
Well, let's go performances, Miles. Let's go performances because I feel like, and I hope the listeners. I think we really enjoyed today. Like I think we need to get that across. We absolutely loved it. We saw quite a few people afterwards, and everyone was buzzing, and that and the marketing people were buzzing. even they were like launching balloons out of Ashton Court in celebration. And that was the funny thing, was that with the Thatchers one was starting to rise up with about 6 minutes to go. And we were saying, wouldn't it be great if the Thatchers one came across just as we win and we're singing Drink Up Your Cider, and then it kind of disappeared. I don't know what happened. It fell out of a bit of a nightmare.
The funny thing with that is, like, we had a play, we started like moving the ball around, and Miles turned around and said, "Oh look, there's a balloon."
Yeah. Anyway,
me and Tony were laughing.
I think actually we should mention the last thing. I mean, it was almost poetic, and we do know we have a lot of poets who follow us.
Well, we met a couple, didn't we?
Final, and we met. It's a big shout out to Robin Hambley, who is the poet laureate. Got to say, he didn't look like anything like I imagined him to be, but he was lovely to meet him.
How lovely was that? We actually asked his daughter if she could take a photograph of us with him.
Yeah,
classic.
I mean, who would have thought 78 minutes straight from Stratford-on-Avon would come our slickest, bare-buttest, as we saw today, player of the season, score phenomenal try.
That was the best thing of all. I don't know if you were if you weren't in the Dolman, you missed a treat. You missed seeing Lewis Rees-Sammett's buttocks because his shorts got ripped off right in front of us. My daughter was sat behind me. I had to like
screen her, didn't you?
I had to screen it. It was like, but nobody in the Lansdowne would have seen that. All those expensive seats that they bought, and they didn't get to see Lewis Rees-Sammett's. I think he shaved it as well. It was like he waxed his buttocks.
It did look like the top of TC's head, didn't it?
It was, honestly, it's so childish, but whenever anybody's shorts gets pulled down in a rugby game, it's the funniest thing ever. But all credit to Lewis Rees-Sammet. We did say that we didn't feel he got given the ball enough, but he did what everyone hoped he'd do right at the end, 79th minute.
Won us the game.
Won us the game.
Absolutely.
And it was the man with the tan. It was like a streak of brown going down. I mean, the Lansdowne people must have loved it.
Pants after the European Cup final in 2020.
But the Lansdowne people must have loved it. It's worth their season ticket price.
That's for the wrong game, I think. Yeah. Absolutely. I didn't see his butt, but I saw that phenomenal try in the 79th minute.
And you know what? Joking aside, I think that was a really good thing to happen. We needed that. He needs that.
Yeah, absolutely. Start the season, first game. And that's going to give him confidence, isn't it? And let's face it, I mean, Gab's injury didn't look so great. So,
not particularly.
We might need Lewis Rees-Sammet.
Can we just say that, for previous listeners, we pulled up the drawbridge this afternoon. The trebuchets didn't really impact.
Really?
Well,
24
we
points.
were better in the second half.
The second half,
definitely.
78th minute, the drawbridge was
I think
pulled
there was
up.
some skirmishes.
The portcullis came down.
Yeah, but we'd already
we got the win.
I think you're right, but I'm not sure we could say it was Fortress. Ashton Gate. I think it was. I think what we did was we let the attackers come in, and then we like fought them out, and we beat them. They went back out of the fortress. They got in there, but we battered them back.
But we should say
that is the way.
Anyway, actually, Tigers. I like the way they played today because they didn't just box kick everything.
Of course not.
No,
they actually did. Yeah. And Elliot said, they would play rugby, and they did.
I think they'll be disappointed that they didn't get the lights have just gone out. I think they'll be disappointed that they didn't get.
I think that's a sign.
Did they get a try? Must have got a try bonus point.
Yes.
Didn't they? So they'll be a bit disappointed they didn't get a losing bonus point. 17-all at half time. But it is what it is. They'll come strong again at Welford Road. I'm sure of it, and I'm sure they'll be ready for us when we go down there after the new year.
But collectively, I think we've had a brilliant day, haven't we?
Brilliant day. Brilliant. Couldn't have been better.
No, the club did everything right today. The fan zone was brilliant. It was just absolutely.
Should we just mention something that potentially they did wrong?
Go on then. Let's get an early go.
So, early go. So we've had. Let me just check this afternoon. We had lookalike Cam, tick, brilliant this afternoon.
It was good.
Oh yeah,
it was good.
Did we have wave cam? No, we had the Simba Cam.
We had Simba Cam at the end. Simba Cam's fine,
which is what we expect. Which come out.
Yeah,
now the slight goat is.
Yeah, it was a big one actually.
A big
You're right.
goat. When a player's down with a potential, long-term injury.
It was AJ, wasn't it?
AJ,
and not just a player, but like
AJ,
one of our
our
best
main
player.
player.
You know,
and a lovely guy as well, Alan.
you know,
Adge.
Adge, I should begin to. You know, you should be there in silence, really sympathising with him. And what potentially should you not do is air guitar.
Well,
cam.
no, not that's that, but introduce the new one. Like it's not just air, it was like a new one. It's like
anything.
Let's just introduce the new one when Adge is lying punching the ground in agony,
in pain.
Yeah, that was a pile of shit, to be
That
honest.
was bad.
That was really poor.
I don't know who. I don't know. I mean,
Some jackass just putting that stuff on there.
Yeah, something went
got
wrong there.
One of our best players down on the field, and it was in bad taste.
But it was a bad thing in generally a good overall thing.
We agree.
So I think we're done on that. I think
so.
Otherwise, what's going to happen, as some listeners have said in the past, we end up saying the same thing again.
Okay, anyway,
so I
let's
think
move on.
we've put it to bed. We reckon with that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bedside story done. So, well, you're listening to Bears Beyond the Gate, a Bristol Bears podcast made by fans for fans. If you want to get in touch with us, there are numerous ways you can get in touch. I've now learned recently that when we publish it on Buzzsprout, there's a little thing that says, there's a link that says, let us know what you think. And people can click on it, and we then get emails. So we've had a few. We actually had one from someone last week who said, I don't think it'd be a good idea that you record the pod straight after the game. Maybe you should do it on a Monday night. But what this guy, whoever it is really appreciate feedback. What he doesn't realise is that we only can do it on a Sunday. We have no time
we have jobs.
Yeah, it's not just jobs. It's like netball, taking families. So it has to be Sunday. Hence why we bent over backwards to try and do it at Ashton Gate. So we didn't.
I would suggest that listener doesn't listen that often.
No.
To us.
Well, I think he listens.
I'm calling him out.
To be honest, I think the first one he ever listened to was the Benetton one. That's
enough.
why. That's why he heard Miles try to explain what Andy Oren does.
Right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Andy passes it. No, it was so good. Anyway, so you can also get in touch direct if you want to, bearsbeyondthegate@gmail.com, but you can engage on our various social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I mean, we haven't got many followers, but we do get a lot of likes. I put a very good reel out today, I thought. Got a lot of views.
I thought it was very good.
But Lee, you just tapped me on the shoulder. You want to say something?
No, I just want to say, actually, we were humbled, and we just wanted to thank everyone that turned up today after the game for the raffle for James Dunn's shirt.
For hero listeners.
I think Pete actually... there was a listener called Adrian Randall who wasn't here in person today.
No.
Who's won Dunny's shirt.
So just to what we did was we had 40 very generous listeners who gave us money for this equipment over the summer. We crowdfunded 680 quid, which is unbelievable. And the one thing is that I got all the emails through PayPal. So I emailed everybody and said to them, you are our hero listeners. I mean, all our listeners are heroes, but these are like a real heroes. And as a kind of thank you, we had Dunny's shirt. We'll raffle it. We'll raffle it off, as it were, after the game. And I emailed everyone, and we had a nice little turnout of people. And Susan, James's mum,
Susan Dunn,
agreed to come and pick. And it was, basically the winner was Adrian.
Randall.
Adrian Randall. I did wonder if that's Harry's dad. I just suddenly had a moment. Is he related to Harry? It's like he might get in contact and say, you know what, mate, I don't really want a shirt. I've got hundreds of them. So we'll see what Adrian says. And then very last minute, I had a second prize, which was one of the Bristol Beer Factory 10% off cards for life. And it was actually Miles's card.
Do you mean that was mine?
It was Miles's card. I actually asked Lewis, I said, if I give Miles's card away, can you give us another one? He said, yeah. So that was Chris Thorne. Chris Thorne won that. And then, of course, I promised everybody a free hanky, and I forgot to bring them. So I basically said to everybody, the next game, the Exeter game at home, I will bring the hankies.
See us.
Come and see us. Same time, same place after
with
the game.
With a snotty nose.
And if you want a branded hanky... just for being a hero listener, you get that as well. But joking aside, I cannot say how much appreciative we are of people, because we're now sat here in the press conference room, our media room, we've got green lights buzzing, we've got microphones, we've got headphones, and we've
got no lights.
I hoped the lights have just gone off, but I do hope that you feel like the audio quality is a little bit better than it was.
I'm a bit worried. We haven't got an airplane above us.
No.
Drowning out our sound.
Or the rain.
For once.
We can't say this. Lewis will get upset if we don't say we're going to get... We'll say, oh, no, Lewis, no, we want to just do Ashton Gate now.
But do you know what I loved about that? When we did the draw, there was a load of listeners that turned up, and genuinely, we really do appreciate you. Yeah. We're humbled by everything that you do for us, and we are a collective. We're a team. We go through wins together. We commiserate together, and
can I just commend one listener? Amazingly turned up with a banner with AI produced photos of what potentially we might look like during a podcast. Can I just say, if you come to find us based on that, you haven't got a chance.
It was. I should say
we'll post that out, won't we? Yeah. We'll post it.
They were very good-looking lads, but just a commitment. I cannot commend it enough. And
Pete looked like Action Man.
I look like I look like Steve Backshall.
Yeah, Pete looked like, and can I just say, Lee looked like he sort of waxed. He looked like he did bending that waxed his beard.
I look like a posh Santa.
Absolutely.
Miles looked like what he is. It was like some sort of minor royalty,
something like that.
With
almost with like, a crown on their head,
an earl or something, didn't he?
Yeah. Like ones that don't get anything from the public purse. They actually have to earn their money, but they somehow still get loads of freebies from there. But actually, it was David Shawcross who gave us that. I chatted to him before.
Thank you so
massive.
much.
So look, boys, I'm looking at time. We've got a game Saturday. Now suddenly, Sarri's away.
Suddenly, I think we're all a collective a little bit worried.
Yeah, I mean, we say that we don't swear on this pod, but I've just said Sarri's away, which is almost as bad. I don't know. We don't. It's not a happy hunting ground, is it?
No.
It's not a happy hunting ground. It's a plastic pitch. They know exactly how to play there. It's 5:30 on a Saturday. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't. It's not a bad thing. I don't know if that's good for players. It's probably better than Sunday. I think I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know that it's going to be a tough game. I don't quite know how we're going to beat them. I just think we're just going to have to defend well, and we're just going to have to take our chances and maybe play cute. And the only thing I've got positive I can think about Sarri's away is Tom Jordan. I think he could, if he tactically kicks us into territory, it could be, we might nick it. But I don't know what you boys think. Lee, what do you think?
The one thing I would say, obviously, there's a few Sarri's players that were in the Lions setup, so they won't be available. So I mean,
but Farrell played.
Yeah, but
they put a pretty score on Newcastle on the weekend.
Okay,
night,
I'll tell you what. Let's forget. It's difficult to predict, but let's just go through a team. Let's go right from the start. So, Lee, do you want to go front five?
Is Genji back?
Well, this is the debate. Do you want to go front five? You give what you think. Let's our hoped for
Presume
front
might
five.
Be.
Hoped for.
Go for
so
it.
I'll go Genj, Gab,
Ogre,
Kloska, Bats, and Dunny.
Done. I think that's
front five.
And if not, Woolmore will go because he's done a good job as well.
So. And he played well today.
And then Graham Slaw and Chawatama on the bench, and maybe I would have thought Kloska will get another game. I think he's our boy this year. He is coming through.
It's the year for him to step.
And he got England A cap, so I think he'll be knocking on Pat's door and say, yeah, okay, I was up against blooming Joe Hayes or whatever, or Nicky Thomas, but these guys are internationals. One's played for Lions, one's played for England.
Yeah.
I did all right. Give me another go. Another go, Pat.
Kloska's got those ambitions himself.
So I think if there's no injuries, I'm going Klosk. I'm with you. So Miles, back row.
Well, there's a few Argentinians floating around, aren't there?
Well, Grondona started, young Grondona.
Yeah, but
I don't think we've got the others. I think Santi's still out.
I don't think so. I think I guess the question is, do you keep the strongest, the biggest, stronger players on the bench? But Bill Matter came on and threw a few players out into the dome.
100%. I think he needed 20 minutes to get back on it.
I think so. So I think we start with Bill Matter at number 8.
Yep.
Let's hope Fitzharding's HIA passes and maybe fits on one flank.
Yeah.
And who's on the other flank
Steve.
today? Stevie Luatua, on the other flank. I think that's the back row.
We haven't actually mentioned Fitzharden, 100th appearance today.
100th cap.
And he scored a try.
And he scored a try.
And so underrated. We love Fitz to bits, don't we? Come on.
I mean, there's not a lot more we can say. He also, not only 100 cap, but he also had the highest stats, like entries to rucks, offloads, tackles. And he's just unlucky that there's loads of good back row players in the country. But actually, in some ways, we'd rather he focus on being really good for Bristol. So yeah. So I like that. I think if his HIA struggles, then we've got Grondona.
Yeah, absolutely.
And others. I'll go half-backs. It's going to have to be Marmion and Jordan.
Tom Jordan.
But Jordan got a bit of a smashed, didn't he? And hopefully he'll be okay.
I think he'll be right.
Minor knock.
And then let's do inside centre, Lee.
That's a tricky one for me.
Because we
don't know whether Big Jimmy is...
No, Jimmy's gone.
He's out for ages, Jimmy Williams.
I mean, it was Jenkins and Van Rensburg, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's any other choice, is there?
No, I thought Jenkins did well today. I like Jenkins. I mean, this is a big breakout season for Joe Jenkins.
I think Jenkins, this is his season.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then, so I think nothing changed. And then back 3 miles. 1 week, 2 wingers and a fullback.
Well, sadly, potentially we've lost Gabs Ibatoy.
Yeah, we have. I think that you've got to assume that's gone. And they wouldn't want to risk someone with a hammy on that plastic pitch either.
No, I mean, clearly, LRZ, Louis Rees-Zammit, showed that
champing at the bit.
Champing at the bit today. I think him on one wing. I think Calavete Ravogo on the other wing. And
Can I just say...
Josh Carrington. I thought he commended himself sufficiently to start at number 15. With the current injury crisis.
I don't disagree with that at all, but I think Rich Lane's not far away as well.
No, Rich Lane is a stinger, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think Rich on the bench.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean,
we don't know.
The lineup doesn't sound too bad. It's the bench that is going to be our issue. And how many, we haven't got that. We've got a young Aidan Boschkoff, haven't we? That's the one. Yeah. He might have to get on that bench to Saracens.
Well, we might have Max Pepper as backup.
Max Pepper is going to be
9.
He'll have to be on the bench.
Yeah.
He's the only other scrum half because Wolstenholme's injured.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was a bit surprised at the old Georgian, Luca.
Yeah, Luca.
Wasn't on the bench today, but I wonder whether... It depends on Fitz, really, whether... We've also got Joe Owen, remember, who could play 6, could play second row.
Of course.
So I wonder whether they just give Luca a little bit more time just to get used to the kind of...
The system.
The English rugby, travelling, being part of the team.
Still reasons to be positive.
I think so. I think so. And what we want is that if people get injured, we've got, try and get them fit again so that when their replacements get injured, they can come back again. But, I mean, we cannot... I think we need to finish it off now, boys. But I think we can't be anything but, pumped for today. I thought it was...
Without doubt.
We had everything. It was a great game of rugby. It was in jeopardy. We weren't sure. And then second half, we pulled away. And then Louis Rees-Zammit scoring at the end. I mean, it was like the script had been written. And I haven't seen the TNT, but I bet they were loving it on TNT.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, if there was nothing else that we knew about Louis Rees-Zammit, he's a finisher.
Absolutely.
And ultimately... He took the relief away from us because that was the clinical finish that we needed for Bears, and it was a brilliant game. Now I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
And
today.
I think it was great to see so many people down to get over 20,000.
20,000.
I've got one final shout out at the very end, talking about down at the gate. I think we cannot skirt around the subject of yesterday's Bristol, not Bristol. Women's World Cup win by England. And, Bristol Bears related, Hannah Bottoman, Abby Ward, Lark Atkin-Davies and Sarah Byrne absolutely smashing the hell out of those Canadians. Bristol Bears through and through. Let's not forget those women are going to come home World Cup winners and bloody brilliant yesterday.
Great shout, Miles. And actually, we should have mentioned last week as well, the ladies winning the Prem Cup to get to the semi-finals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll get back on it next week.
We will.
Well, on that note, boys, I think it's time to draw a line. The lights have gone out at Ashton Gate. I understand that Neil Warnock is doing some sort of after-dinner speech.
Can't wait to meet
maybe we should just pop over there and see him. But actually, I think our families are expecting us home. So, brilliant start to the season. Looking forward to the next game massively. If anyone's going to Saracens, hopefully I'll see you there because I'm planning on going. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe. And 1, 2, 3.
Up the Bears.